Good evening, everyone. The board has been in executive session since 6:30 p.m., and we are going to reconvene into the public session. Can I have a motion to reopen the public meeting?
I move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'll stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Good evening. Thank you for waiting. Let me just get myself organized. To begin my president's report, I would first like to welcome our Seven Bridges and Bell Middle School students, faculty, administrators. They are here to give us a presentation on their journey as middle school writers. I can't wait to see what you have prepared. Here are a few things I would like to highlight in my president's report. Parent-teacher conferences happened November 3rd and November 4th. It was our first time having K-12 parent-teacher conferences, and it was really a successful event, I think. It was such a wonderful opportunity for both parents and teachers to connect, to talk about different ways we can support our students in our partnership between home and school. We have asked the community for feedback, and hopefully we can take what we learned this time and make it even better for the March spring conferences. Thank you again to all our dedicated teachers, staff, and building leaders. I would also like to congratulate all the fall student athletes and coaches for a great season. The athletic department is still waiting on the individual awards, but we are ready to announce the team recognitions and awards. Hold on while I pull up the list. So congratulations to the varsity boys cross country, Ryan Sykes, New York State qualifier, varsity girls cross country, league champions, Milena Santee, New York State qualifier, varsity field hockey, league champions, section champions, regional finalist. Wow. Varsity girls swim and dive, Serene Jordy, New York State qualifier, Finley White, New York State qualifier, Nicole Conway, New York State qualifier, Hannah McMullen, New York State qualifier. Varsity girls tennis, league champions, section champions, New York State runner-up. Danielle Rosenblit, section 1 and New York State doubles champion. Michelle Rosenblit, section 1 and New York State doubles champion. Sadie McFadden, New York State doubles qualifier. Scarlett McFadden, New York State doubles qualifier. Varsity volleyball, league champions. Congratulations to you all. Another round of thank yous to all the Greeley administrators, Dr. Seppi, Dr. Gamma, Dr. Sullivan, Ms. Flores, and Ms. Mauricio, along with Dr. Ackerman and Mr. Corsilia for being present at the second induction ceremony for students that were unable to attend the first. All for giving their wonderful speeches a second time, including Mrs. McKee. And I think parents have come up to me actually after the event to say how impressed they were that so many administrators were present at the second ceremony. They felt really special, so thank you for that. One of the other things I would like to highlight is that Ms. Dorfman, my vice president, and I, alongside our superintendent and the assistant superintendent of HR, Mr. Corsilia, were able to meet with the CCT leadership, the president, Mr. Petruso, and also vice president, Mr. DeBellis. We come to the table to have conversations around how we can better serve all of our students in the district. I really enjoy our time. We meet twice a year, and we just talk about ways we can improve in our different roles as partners to make all of the experiences for our students even better. So thank you for your dedication. The board has also met this past Monday for a work session to discuss whether or not we would like to move to a new platform, discussing our committee charges and responsibilities and our policy manual review. I will not go into great detail about it since the work session was recorded and you can access them online. But we have completed the charges and responsibilities for all of our committees and are moving forward with the policy review. And the board docs discussion is to be continued. I'm perfectly confident and happy to recommend to the district to move forward with the moving to this new platform for greater efficiency, less errors, and more transparency. But we will revisit this topic again in the near future because we have some more thinking and conversations to be had. I also attended the Managing Conflict Learning Session Roundtable style hosted by WPSBA. It's always good to hear from other board colleagues and superintendents from different districts in our region. Managing conflict seems like a lifelong and ongoing work. It's really very hard work, and I'm committed, and hopefully everyone is committed to doing it. At last but not least, thank you to all the SHARE students and Horace Greeley Scholarship Fund for a wonderful night at the Spelling Bee. Congratulations to the winners, Bell Middle School students, Mia Long, Natalie Jung, and Alyssa Kim. I believe the format has changed where the adults and the community members cannot compete against the students any longer. So there was some chatter around the community members who participated and felt like they were sort of tied. And that was the Sports Boosters team. So they felt like they won the community round, but could not advance to the championship round against the students. But I think we all know that it wasn't fair for many, many years. So congratulations to Bell Middle School and the 3 students that were on that team. And if you missed it, it was a fun night for all. If you missed it, please join us next year. It happens every year. And that is it. And we need to get on with the middle school presentations.
Yes, so I'd like to introduce Dr. Stewart and Mr. Curtis, who will be introducing our student presentation tonight. And then Matthew will do your student report after the middle school presentation. So, okay, thank you.
Good evening, and thank you for having us. I'm here with Mr. Curtis, and on behalf of our middle schools, we are so excited to share with you a little bit about our writing process. In the middle school levels, we are building powerful, confident writers step by step through a clear and intentional writing process. Our work is deeply connected to the Chappaqua strategic priorities, particularly improving student sense of belonging, rethinking traditional curriculum, and the middle school experience. At the middle school level, writing provides a powerful lens into all 3 of these. Students express their identities, connect with others, and engage in authentic, rigorous learning. Our work around writing at the middle school level directly supports our commitment to rigor, coherence, and alignment. This focus directly supports our middle school target areas, as you can see, and I'm sure you're familiar with, specifically by increasing rigor in grades 5 through 8 and building articulated, authentic, skills-based curriculum. Writing instruction exemplifies this approach. It is scaffolded, standards aligned, and responsive to what students need. This is the heart of what research-based and data-informed instruction is all about.
Hi, everybody. Our shared belief is simple. Strong writers are built through practice and intentional process. This approach also aligns with the New York State Standards for Writing, which emphasize using evidence and research to support claims across multiple purposes, argument, information, and narrative. These standards guide how we teach students to think critically and communicate effectively across all subjects. Our vision is for students to become linguistically literate graduates, young people who can effectively use language to express and receive ideas in many forms. We will focus on writing specifically today. Ultimately, this work advances our portrait of a graduate, as you can see here. ensuring our students become practical, expressive, and purposeful users of language ready for high school and beyond, or to win a spelling bee. Across our classrooms, students write for many purposes: to argue, to inform, to narrate, and to respond to reading. No matter the genre, the heart of our instruction is helping them understand that writing is a cyclical, reflective process deeply connected to thinking.
As you can see on this slide, writing isn't a single skill. It's made up of interconnected strands, much like a rope. Each strand represents an essential area of development, from grammar to structure to organization and critical thinking. Our students learn to weave these strands together to organize ideas, understand audience, choose precise language, and then refine their work through feedback and revision. Tonight, you will get to see the writing process in action through the lens of our 6th graders and our 8th graders. They will demonstrate how they move through each of these crucial stages. They generate, they spark ideas, form claims, gather evidence to lay the foundation for their piece. They develop. Writers expand on their ideas with details, examples, and reasoning to strengthening their message. They draft. They get their ideas down in clear, organized flash draft, focusing on flow rather than perfection. They revise, rereading with a focus on structure, clarity, and meaning, reshaping ideas to improve coherence. They then move to editing. Writers refine grammar, punctuation, and word choice to ensure accuracy and readability. And they polish and craft. They fine-tune language, style, and voice to work engaging, expressive, and precise. You can see here that it's not all in a step-by-step order, that they can move between each of these stages. This deliberate progression from grades 5 and 6, where they're learning the process with structure, to grade 7, where they're refining argument, to grade 8, crafting nuanced analytical pieces, it is how we build independent revisers and intentional decision makers.
At its core, this process is about empowerment. When students understand and trust the writing process, they gain confidence and their writing becomes clearer, stronger, and more authentic to who they are. We are proud to share this work with you, and even more proud of our students, who will now momentarily show you how writers are built here in Chappaqua, one deliberate step at a time. Remember, as you see our presentation tonight, we are focusing on writing in ELA, but writing is taught and assessed across all of our subjects and through slightly different lenses. We have several quotes here from some of our students. And this is our schedule. So now we are done with our talking, and now the fun part happens where you get to spend some time with the students. So we'd like to invite you to the Blue Commons room. As we head out, we'll take a left and go down and get everybody situated, and the Seven Bridges 6th graders will kick off our work tonight. Thank you.
Our audience is welcome to come.
So we are really proud that we are aligned across Bell and Seven Bridges. So what you see in 6th grade here at Seven Bridges, we're experiencing the same at Bell, and vice versa when the 8th graders come on. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to 2 of our English teachers in 6th grade, Ms. Pauline Gaglio and Ms. Alexandra Amdano.
Needed every class that we taught started with a round of applause. That would be fabulous. So welcome. First of all, how do you feel being back in the classroom tonight? Okay, so that's a question. How do you feel being back in the classroom tonight?
You're very excited.
Yeah, this is wonderful. Very excited to have you here. We're looking forward to sharing with you a little bit about the writing process, specifically what our students experience in our classrooms on a daily basis. Our students, well, your teachers for tonight, who you are sitting with and you will meet shortly, they have prepared brief overviews of the lessons and activities that go on in our classrooms. In addition to your participation, we've also brought in the resources that we use. So you're getting a real authentic experience. And that was a redundancy, wasn't it? You're getting an authentic experience of what it would be like to be a developing reader and writer, and what it's like also to read a text, identify an idea, grow that idea into something that's more personal and polished. One of the things that we really want you to walk away with is this notion that writing inherently is individual, right? It's very personal for students. So how does one teach that? And the kids all come at it from different places and they have different ideas. It's not quite like a math problem. But what we do understand is that if we provide the tools and strategies and allow the kids to develop their own approach, then they can use that as a resource to go back to and apply to all different communication styles. So they are readers, they are thinkers, they are communicators in the classroom. But what does that really mean in life? And we say that's a demo of life.
So our goal for tonight is to have you step into the role of a student and learn what it takes to really hone your craft and develop your writing style. And as Mrs. Daglio said, it's going to be brief. But we have prepared for you our text that we're currently reading, which is Jason Reynolds' Look Both Ways. We're giving you a small segment of it that you will be reading and crafting a claim, just like our students have been doing. So in our classrooms, our students write about their reading at least twice a week, really thinking analytically and reflecting on the texts that they're currently diving into. Now, again, we know that writing inherently is personal, but we strive to build a strong writing community. So our goal for all of you tonight is, as you're sitting at your tables, working with each other, working with these wonderful teachers that have prepared this lesson for you, you really shape your writing craft together and realize that it truly is a collaborative experience.
So at this time, we want to thank you for participating. We want to encourage you to be good students, to be curious, to take risks, and to make some mistakes, and definitely ask questions of your teachers.
Hey, Callum and Shana, the floor is yours.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Callum. Today we are going to teach you about brainstorming for a first step of the writing process. But first, we want you to read the excerpt from the story that will be on your desk.
Alright, so my name's Chuck. Olivia, pleasure to meet you. Would you like to look at this one?
Yes, so we're going with this.
Oh, terrific.
They're not done tonight, but we'll check later. But here's some background that we just read. Character John. He's a very rough person. He comes from a group called the Roadcuts, and they feel like they have to feel because their parents are cancer survivors. And Sachimo, the character who dropped the book, he's afraid of dogs, so he's very skittish because he has to walk by one on his way home. Alright. So now we're going to start the writing process. In case you didn't know what a claim is a response to a question that can be supported by evidence, like the group after a school be talked about. And now we're going to tell you your steps on what to write. First, you're going to pick one of the two questions. Then you're going to develop a claim around your question. Make sure you use a character trait. There's research for that in the your table. And we think that we can hear stuff. People will help you.
I don't want to focus on session.
I'm going to focus on John.
So,
To me, my son seems very sad. It's very facetious. Very worried. I just like brainstorming, writing all these down.
We also, well, like brains.
Oh, yeah.
Well, look,
Right cares.
So you could also just like think about if the question, if you're looking for to write it, write about
The claim might answer for the question.
like John rough, like
Right, fine, but so, okay, I got, yeah, basically the answer to the question is the, okay, question, right? And I just pick up.
Right.
So,
So I was thinking that.
okay, got it.
based on that,
But it's also.
Pick a good word. I feel like the cost of the book, but it won't.
Thinking like, it looks like someone knows himself really well, and he's like really about this feeling, and he understands. Like right here, saying like so happened until now.
Okay, guys. Right now, what about guys, even if it's not done right now. Okay, so I'm Harrison, this is Olivia, and this is Priyanka, and right now we're gonna be talking to you a little bit about the drafting process. So one of the important things about drafting is writing to think and thinking to write. Writing to think is basically getting your ideas down on paper and kind of rolling with them as you go. This is very beneficial because if you ever get stuck on something, you can kind of make a list or kind of write your things out to get your brain rolling. Thinking to write is good too. That's basically when you have your thoughts in your head, and once you're sure what you're going to write about, you kind of just write that down on your paper.
So as Harrison said, we may just have to begin writing and we get your ideas rolling. But it's also good to know that as you begin writing, you often have new ideas come into your head. And it's important that you write these ideas down as well to make sure that you don't forget them.
And just so you know, your priority is always to get your ideas down on paper. You can always come back later and revise. And as Olivia and I said, once you get your ideas down, it kind of just keeps coming to you. And don't rush. You can always come back and finish your work later.
Whenever you start writing, you should look back in the text to solidify your idea. You should look for quotes, actions of the character, or key moments in the text to get your evidence. You could go back and highlight or underline to help you remember the important points. Remember, evidence is important because it proves to the reader why your claim is correct. Don't forget that you should also have reasoning that explains why the evidence links back to the claim. So now go back to your writing and write sentences that include 2 pieces of evidence and then 1 piece of reasoning. And remember, all this should be evidence.
All right.
So now you
I think it's really.
write it down.
Some example. You have my favorite color. noticed that self-aware, a couple breaths. Jump a little bit, like through the right, so say, yeah.
You always want to change the
It said he was in a haze. He didn't. Oh, interesting.
So maybe I'll leave this.
Generally speaking, we're not turning on small and big ones, clearly.
Hi, I'm Charlie.
I'm Timothy. I'm Sammy.
And today we'll be teaching you a little bit about the revising process. Although it's sometimes overlooked, revising is one of the most important parts of the writing process.
When you're revising your work, check for punctuation, capitalization, and other grammar errors. We also revise so we can make our own writing flow and make it more interesting to the reader by using different writing techniques and making sure you don't repeat yourself. We do this by either reading our own work and getting a friend to look over it and give feedback.
Now that we show you how to revise, it's your turn.
Open your packet and use your color-coded sheet to revise.
Oh. Help me understand this. Coded packet. Oh, okay, excellent.
You don't want to be different colors?
Underline plain. Oh, I see.
Highlighter doesn't work.
Oh, thank you.
I'm not playing on that.
Why don't we go right down? I'm gonna say that's my quotes, right? You think? Oh, you already got your plane? I think my plane up here.
Basically what I'm doing. Yeah, and circle, yes, we were told class.
Oh, explanation. You know what I think? I think I actually explained it more. Yeah. Okay. Where else?
Yes, that's what they probably know.
Okay.
Like that.
Yeah.
Attention up front.
Hi, I'm Isabel. Make your writing great. Use descriptive words or figurative language. If you were to say, John is a good friend, instead you can use, he's so encouraging and friendly, anyone wants to hang out with him.
Figurative language, instead of saying Satchmo is creative, you could say he is blowing up with ideas.
Make your writing bold and interesting. Make it pop out. Put your reader in the story. Make the writing flow and add details to add something to your writing.
Read it over. Make sure you can see your personality through the piece. Also, make sure you have each of the parts that we said today to make it great.
Now you can do this in your writing. There are also resources on your tables, like the reference sheets. Remember, if you have any questions, you can ask them to the play.
That maybe decide you can John is a competitive friend. Like the evidence in the text.
Okay, so I'm gonna get into the notes. So here are like Johnson is excited about the Saturday, right? I usually need that.
Period.
Do something like if you were in and it was like statue, what do you do on a friend like that?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
What about which goes? Can I say, I'm gonna go for a story. The calling.
Not, yeah, losing that one. Yeah, I can say, so there's this lady who sells candy out of her front door, so kind of weird, but,
It's kind of.
they buy it, then they sell it, create profit, and then they went and bought money for moms going to.
I was thinking, I just put that in something. Now it's like, get a little money.
We know that you're hard at work, so writing process is very long and it takes lots of time. And we just wanted to give you a little bit of a spice of what it's like. And you can imagine that you want to keep revising. I see people still writing because they're so eager. But we do have our 8th grade Bell students that are going to come and share with you. But I do want to just share with you all of those scripts and the lesson and how they presented it. All of our 6th graders created themselves. So they've put a lot of work into this. So we just want to ask you to put all of your resources into the bin. You're going to, if you're the adults at the table, stay at the table. And our 6th graders will join us at the end of the 8th grade presentation. But for now, we're going to transition to our Bell 8th graders.
Developing that. I can keep going. Read a little more, add a little to it.
Actually, yeah.
9 eighth graders here, along with 2 of our esteemed teachers. So I'll introduce them to get us started. Miss Ashley Coleman and Miss Danielle Rincola. Miss Coleman, I think, is going to start.
Good evening, members of the board, administrators, families. We're excited to share what the writing process looks like in our eighth-grade classrooms, and how each stage helps our students grow as thoughtful, independent writers. As you know, proficient writing is a skill that develops over years, which is why achieving vertical alignment, a consistent approach to writing instruction across grade levels, is so essential in ELA. You just saw a wonderful example from our 6th grade colleagues where students taught you how to analyze a text, form an idea, and develop it into a persuasive piece of writing. In 8th grade, these same foundational skills evolve into more sophisticated literary analysis.
Tonight, our students will walk you through that next stage of growth. They'll demonstrate how they generate ideas, develop them into organized plans, and then craft essays that analyze how memoir writers use techniques like imagery, mood, inner thinking, and much more to develop a theme. What we've prepared for this evening's presentation is a living timeline of sorts. A few students will take you through each of the writing process by highlighting their work and the skills that they learned. We've provided copies of each student's sample in your packet so that you can follow along and refer back to the work that they are describing. We'll begin with the generating and developing phase presented by Ari, Emma, and Mia.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ari, and what most people don't realize that the writing process begins long before we ever start typing. Generating is the very first thing. Actually starts the moment we pick up the book to read. In 8th grade, we don't just read books, we study them. That means we record and track our thinking as we go, noticing things like character traits, symbolism, imagery, and the mood of a scene. While reading The Cage by Ruth Minsky Sender, for our literary nonfiction unit, I used my reading tracker to jot down ideas that stood out to me. Like, here comes forth. One note I made was about how the author uses poetry as a symbol of hope. That idea later inspired the focus of one paragraph of my essay, where I examined the power of writing in the form of poetry and letters. Please take a moment to review my paragraph regarding symbolism located on the second page of the document.
I'm Emma. Our reading tracker helps us read into noticing and thinking deeply about what the author is doing. On this display, you can see one of my entries from thinking it. I paused that scene when memoir author practiced reading close, and we learned about how she realized how important it is to speak up and be avoided of the page. People can only care about issues if they're aware of them. I'll give you a moment to now hear what, which is on page 3 of the packet. Later, when I started planning my essay, I went back to that note, and it helped me form my problems that needed to be solved. This stage of developing is where ideas can take shape, and I begin to see how they can work together for a larger vision.
Hi everyone. During the development stage, we organize the thinking into the real time. One of the most important skills we practice is writing a clear frame statement and strong common sentences, foundation of any essay. In my outline, I decided to focus on how the author uses inner thinking, dialogue, and mirroring actions to show that one of the themes we plan the law on is that everyone with a voice should use it to speak out for those who cannot be heard. Once my plan and competencies in third place, I chose the best evidence to support them and connected everything back to my main idea. Kindly turn your attention to the 2 pieces of supporting evidence on my outline, which is on page 4. That sets up perfectly for the next stage, drafting. So I'll turn it over to my classmates, Alex, Griffin, and Julia, to explain what comes next.
Hello, everyone. I'm Alex. After finishing our outlines, we were ready to start building our essays. We learned that a strong introduction includes a hook to grab the reader's attention
and some background information to give context on the memoir we're analyzing. Take a look at my example here. Since my memoir was about a survivor of the Holocaust, I created a hook that helped readers step into the author's experience, to feel what the memoir subject felt from the very start. Here's the hook that I landed on. Imagine being a child during World War II, whose youth was taken away by the war and by the Nazis. Now, imagine being forced into adulthood at only 15 years old, navigating concentration camps without family and staying hopeful through it all.
Hello, I'm Griffin. When it came to writing our body paragraphs, we took our evidence to the planning stage and began to shape it in minutes. My essay was about Trevor Noah, born a crime. I started with a topic sentence and added context to show what scene my evidence came from. Next, I included a quote from my outline that highlighted the point I was trying to make. Or most importantly, I explained why the quote mattered, how it supported my topic sentence and connects back to my essay. For example, I wrote, even when faced with bloody rioters fighting for the power of a newly freed country, his mother pushed forward, unwavering, almost naively into danger. As a youth in digital world, Trevor experienced life-saving luck, which allowed him to not only reach status he is at today, but to live as a person with equal rights to all others. Later on during the drafting phase, I revised some of my quotes, adjusting their length and ensuring they flowed smoothly with my ideas by embedding them into my writing, rather than having them steady length.
Hi, my name is Julia. We repeated that same process for each body paragraph and then wrapped everything up with our conclusion. We keep our conclusions short but impactful. After restating our claim and main points, we try to close the circle, linking back to the introduction. Please take a minute to read my example, located on page 7 in your packet or on board. I decided to write, Sandra's story conveys the idea that although culture shock is an obstacle, it can be overcome with dedication and passion, which connected back to my opening idea about how the author and her family moved to America. There, instead of the conflict they faced in the Congo, they faced the new conflict of adapting to a completely foreign place. That helped my essay feel complete and meaningful, ensuring that my reader was thinking even after they put my essay down. At that point, we were ready for the next stage, revising and refining, so I'll pass it on to our next presenters, Sid, Michaela, and Ryan.
Hi, I'm Sid, and once we finish drafting, our writing isn't done, it's just getting started. The revision stage is where we look closely at our work and make it even stronger. Sometimes the revision takes place after we are done drafting, and other times revision happens during the draft. When we revise, the goal is to make our writing clearer and more detailed. We don't revise alone. Our teachers conference with us as we work, and we have tools to help us. One tool was a school AI space given to us by my teacher, and it provided us with feedback on a body paragraph. She showed us a model of some of the feedback it gave her, and how she chose to revise based on some suggestions but not others. One suggestion school AI gave me was to elaborate on my evidence regarding Nike founder Bill Knight's approach to risk-taking. After adding a few sentences here, that part of my essay made a lot more sense. Here's one that I added. This also helps show his drive, as he wouldn't try something so risky for no reason. He really believes in himself. He's willing to risk failure, and that shows a lot about this character. Take a moment to look at my other two examples, highlighted on page 8.
Hi, I'm Michaela. Revising also means making our writing flow better by improving our word choice, citations, and transitions. For example, we learned that MLA style calls for an author-page citation. However, it's redundant when the piece of writing focuses solely on one author to continue repeating the author's name and citation. Therefore, we omitted the author's last name and placed only page numbers in parentheses. We also revised our evidence to ensure variety in terms of the quotations we were presenting and how we were presenting them. For instance, in my essay about Taking Flight by Michaela Defense, I realized I could omit a portion of a piece of evidence in favor
with a partial quotation. This small change allowed me to add more of my voice to the paragraph, while also framing the evidence to better support the topic sentence. As I made these adjustments, I reworked bits of my explanation too. These small changes made the paragraph much stronger. Turn to page 9 in your packet, and you can see the before and after versions of my sentence.
Hi, I'm Ryan. After revising for content and clarity, we moved into the editing stage. That's where we fix errors that might seem small, but could actually make our writing less clear for the reader. We check capitalization, punctuation, sentence structure, and spelling to make sure our work is polished and ready to share. When I edited my essay, I focused on adding commas where they were missing in quotes and made sure that I was keeping things formal by writing in third rather than second person. Consider the sentence. Trevor's relationship with his mother displays what a positive connection with someone we love can accomplish for our happiness. You can see in my example on page 10 that I originally had the words you and your. This small change sounds more sophisticated. Once we've revised and edited, our essays are ready for the final step, publishing, where we get to share our finished work with others. This concludes our presentation. Thank you for having us tonight.
Okay, so at this point, we're going to have the sixth graders join us as well.
So we just want to remind you that tonight you saw highlighted what happens in our ELA classrooms, but our writing process happens in every subject, whether it be CERs in science, BBQs and CRQs in social studies, and even in math to show the explanations of their mathematical thinking. So we do writing everywhere in every subject, but we wanted to highlight writing process in ELA. So we're going to bring out our sixth graders, and we want to give one more big round of applause, and then I can want to slide down.
If you were to say.
Down, slide down.
Don't move over. There you go.
Can come here.
First of all, that is just a wonderful way to end your day. So I want to thank all of the students and teachers and the principals and parents for allowing your children to be here with us tonight and really show us in real depth what writing looks like across the curriculum in our middle school classrooms. So I just want to give you another round of applause. Where the boards usually ask some questions. So President Wong, would you like to begin?
Sure. Thank you so much. I don't know if anybody was watching me, but I was so into it. It was bringing me back to the days when I was a writing teacher in the classroom, and I am so excited. I'm going to go home and look at this over and over again, and the other piece. But I don't have a question, but I just wanted to say thank you for taking us through the writing journey, because I know it's such, it's a long process and it's so much work. I mean, I always looked forward to the publishing celebrations at the end, but we know that in order to get to the celebration part, we have to have little mini celebrations in between where we feel successful as we are revising and we're editing. And, you know, one of my favorite parts is using the different color pencils to mark up your writing. And it made me feel like I was getting better at it each time. Also, when we were working with the sixth graders, I know I told my teacher who was sitting in front of me that I need a little more time. I need to think a little bit, and I'm not understanding. I have to reread some of the portions, and my teacher was very gracious and very patient. And it just really, again, we all work at different speed, we work different styles, we learn differently, but knowing that I had all of these resources, whether I can go through the character traits and then all of the different ways to, you know, jazz up my writing. I think those tools and resources were so helpful. Thank you so much.
I would agree too. I loved all the tools. I thought that was so helpful because sometimes when you sit down to write something as a grown up, I'm just saying, I have to write this now and I don't know where to start. And I love that you guys have all these and ideas to get your thoughts rolling. And the idea that you just like write it all down to get it out and then go back and make it perfect the second time around was really helpful. And I really love when you talked about starting with a hook and then coming back at the end and like tying back to your opening statement, which is really helpful, again, for adults, and you'll use that your whole life to make your writing interesting and exciting and to really engage your reader. And I love the piece when you guys use AI to tweak it a little bit and give you suggestions, because that's a really great way that we are implementing AI in a productive way that helps you, but it's still your thoughts and your ideas. And we're not asking the computer to write our essay for us, but we're asking it to give us a little help and tweak it and make it a little more polished. So I thought that was a really great way that we're incorporating those new technologies while still being true to our own voices and not letting it sound like the computer wrote your essay. So I just thought it was really great to see it go from the sixth grade, list of words and sort of smaller tools to then, as you guys got older, really taking that crafting of the story in its entirety and really learning how to polish it, because that skill you will use throughout your life, no matter what job or career you pick. You will need to write and sell people on your ideas. So I really enjoyed watching you do it, and I definitely will take some of these tips home with me and write more exciting emails. Hope you guys can't wait for all my exciting emails. But it helps even adults to remember that, it really needs to be engaging when you write things. So thank you so much.
You guys are remarkably impressive. I actually don't think that I have the intellectual capacity to, I mean, I really was floored, but the one thing I will say is I think we get so enamored with the results, but I love the way you actually showed us the process. My guy Everett over here was sort of like, I was trying to jump to the end, but he was like, you got to stay true to the actual process. And I thought that was really instructive, because I think, when you're doing math, you're sort of like you want to get to the end result. Writing is, I fancy myself as a pretty good writer, but I don't always give it the time and the revisions that it needs. And I think just watching you guys really go through the process and seeing the way the sixth graders worked with us and then what the end result looks like in eighth grade was really impressive. You guys are remarkable young people, and I'm just in awe, because in sixth and eighth grade, this was not what I looked or sounded like. Bravo.
Thank you all. I love the education I received by our sixth grade teachers in development of an argument. And I love the way that you designed the process and taught it to us, because once you can teach something and help someone develop their skills, that's the way that you then master a process. And for our eighth graders, I loved seeing the different ways that you revise your writing. Certainly, heard the expression and believe it, that there's no good writing, only good rewriting. And you certainly demonstrated just how strong all of your writing is and how impressive. And so thank you for sharing it with us tonight.
So one of the things that continues to impress me with, we saw it in elementary and now with you guys, writing is so personal, and you guys coming in here and being so comfortable to share your words with us is not only a testament to all of you, but to all the teachers doing this work to make them comfortable with sharing, because this is really hard. You guys did this in front of like a room full of adults that you don't know. So bravo for that. And the other thing that really stood out to me today was how careful our teachers were with providing us feedback and not making us feel like we made a mistake, and kind of hyping us up that, even though you wrote your words very big in the box, that you'll have a chance to go back and fix that and add what you want to add. And, like Matt said, I'm in awe of you guys and what you're able to do. Thank you for sharing it with us.
So maybe we can end with your board member, Matthew, making some final comments, since he represents you on the board.
So I'm so impressed with all of you. I mean, the way that all of you spoke up here, and I was sitting with Harrison Jr. and he was teaching me all about the writing process. It was amazing, and I'm really impressed by all of you. So you should all be very proud of yourselves. And I do have a question for any of you who would like to answer. Do you all feel that that the processes that you've learned have kept you engaged within English class overall and throughout the books that you are reading in class?
Well, I'd say it does because it like helps us get our thoughts down. So when we're like reading a different chapter, we can go back and be like, oh, that's what happened, and that's what my thought process was when reading.
Yeah, sometimes, as Sheila said, when you're reading a chapter, you kind of just want to say something to somebody, and writing, like we did in class today, we had a writing thing about the chapter we were reading in the book. It kind of just helps you get your ideas down.
I think it also helps because a lot of the time I get stuck and I feel like it just gives me a guideline of what to do and like how to do it.
I think it like kind of like if you have like ideas in your head, like when I'm reading my book, I have like all these ideas just like pop into my head. And when I write them down, it like first it starts off as like kind of like a mess. But when I use this process, it kind of helps me like turn it into some like actual like claim or statement.
It's very good because after reading the book, you can actually write down what you noticed behind them, themes that you noticed, like character traits, and including them when you write your essay. You can like remember, oh right, I wrote this here. I can go back to my notes and docs, and I can write it down in my essay. Let's go all the way around this way.
Yeah.
Helpful how we would use our topic boxes to analyze the text before their essay, so that we're not taking evidence and we're actually drawing our thing from the analysis.
It definitely helps us stay engaged because when you write about it, you think more about what happened and it's not just like the overall picture, like it's specific parts of that picture that help support what you think about it. And it's sort of nice, like you prove right about something and it definitely keeps you engaged with it and you can really like manipulate it to say whatever you want, like this supports those.
Adding on to Mia, I think writing down your ideas while you're reading the text really does help because like in previous years when you're finding evidence, you have to actually search through the book and sometimes you like don't know where a good quote is, textual evidence. But this year when you're writing down your quotes and like some analyzation just to help you start, it makes the writing process of like picking out quotes a lot easier and also just like proving your point better.
And writing these essays about our books, I think we not only are better engagement with the book, I think the understanding. We were the main claims and take evidence and motifs from the book. Understand the effect.
Yeah, I think like when you jot down your ideas and stuff, it really helps you later on when you start to think about like your theme. You already have a lot of notes and evidence that you've gathered, and you can kind of use that to help make your thing.
If I'm sort of adding on to Ryan over here, it certainly helps organize your thoughts and it makes you think about the book and every single part of it really carefully. And it really helps you have a deeper understanding of the book, like you said.
Anyone else have anything you want to share?
To add on to Sid, I think it does help you form a deeper understanding of the text you're reading and to come up with conclusions from what you've read it's very helpful so you can fully understand the book and so you can teach others about the book, which I think is true.
Picture of the board and what the kids and their teachers over here. And then thank you again, everybody. We'll do a snap and then we'll head back into the meeting room, but you guys will head home, so.
Dr. Stewart and I would like to thank all the families for your support getting everybody here, as well as the teachers and the students.
Wow. Did you guys all come along? That was so impressive. I am like so excited still. That was a really, really good presentation by our middle schoolers and the teachers and the administration on their writing process. I was just so blown away. I would like a copy of the reading tracker so that I may bring it to my maybe newly formed book club for adults, and I think it'll help us organize our thoughts as we are reading. We won't have writing about our reading, but we can definitely use the tool to help us think more deeply about what we are reading. So I want to just say thank you again for that wonderful presentation to all of our middle school students and the faculty and the administration.
And the next presentation will be our high school students, and they'll be talking about the writing program and process here at Greeley, and also they will be highlighting the IB program at Life School. So that'll be our next meeting. And so now I'm going to turn it over to Matthew, who's going to do his student report.
All right, thank you, everybody. So here is an interesting looking photo of all of us on a Zoom on K-12 student government meeting where we met last week and today. It was with all the, this was from the student governments from all 6 schools with Dr. Ackerman and Ms. Kolpa, the district's coordinator for student culture and belonging, and all of the building principals. And it was really fantastic to all get together. And it was my first time. It was my first time meeting with the elementary school students since their student governments had been formed, so it was great meeting them. But our main point of discussion was our district-wide community service initiative that we are excited to introduce when we're calling it Stuff the Bus. So when we were on this meeting, we all discussed what this could look like, and what we've kind of come up with is that we're going to do a food and clothing drive where the donations will go to the community center of Northern Westchester. There's an extreme need during this time of year for several items that I don't know if you can see on the right, but there's items such as new hats and blankets and coats and pasta and rice and beans and all sorts of items. And so we're gonna do donations, donation bins at each of the 6 schools and at the district office, and then throughout the week of Monday, November 17th until Friday, November 21st. And then on Friday, November 21st, all of the student representatives from the student governments and Dr. Ackerman and myself will all be going around to each of the schools, collecting all of the donations, and then delivering it to the Community Center of Northern Westchester. So we are really excited for this to begin next week, and there's been communication to all the schools through the morning announcements, and there will be parent communication on Friday to have all students and families know about this awesome event that we are looking forward to have. And the best part about it is that it is led by our students in the student governments, which is very important, and we're looking forward to it. So
Matthew, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Is this the first time that we've done like a whole district-wide community service event?
yes, the first
I really love that.
Yes, it's
I
gonna be
think that's great.
I'm giving you all the credit. It's amazing.
No, a lot of other people are working very hard for this, so.
I'm giving it to you. We've never done it before. This is your first year, so I'm drawing a great straight line.
I really love the title, Stuff the Bus.
It's great.
I love it.
Are we literally doing that? Are we stuffing it all the stuff in one bus and then driving? I love it. Right, we might need one of them.
And so then for the normal update, I got an update from the elementary school and middle school student governments, where they have been having their weekly meetings since the beginning of the school year. And they've been doing a lot of Halloween themed advisories with pumpkins and just, community building within those advisories. From the elementary schools, I heard from Grafflin West Orchard that they were really trying to take leadership at school-wide events, and at Grafflin, they are leading their town meetings, which are the assemblies that they have that are school-wide. And the student government from West Orchard was judging the trunk or treat competition that happened a few weeks ago, which is very cool. They're also bringing in ideas for spirit weeks, and the elementary school students were very insistent that on bringing ideas to their building administration, and were very excited about them. Something that West Orchard said was they wanted to have a giant school map to help visitors and new students, and they also suggested to drop everything in write day instead of the traditional drop everything in read day, which I think would be very cool. There was also some student elections for the middle school student governments at Bell and Seven Bridges, and then there was a wellness activity that Roaringbrook planned as well. At the high school, we had our Diwali celebration that I believe was spoken about at the last meeting, but I heard from many students within the past couple of weeks that the event, which was led by our Sames Club, was a great event. So it's fantastic to hear. And Ms. Huang mentioned this during her president's report, but there's a ton of success for our sports teams, whether it's during the regular season or in the playoffs. But it's always great to see those teams performing very well. She also mentioned the parent-teacher conferences, which obviously I don't know a whole lot about, but I do want to thank the teachers for working very hard the past couple of weeks for preparing for those conferences. I know it was a lot of work, so and I know it only goes to benefit the students. So thank you for that. And the PTA provided pumpkins, continuing with the pumpkins, for our freshman peer groups to decorate last week. And then something important that happened also was there was monthly, there's a club leader meeting for the presidents of all the clubs at Greeley that meet with our student life coordinator, Ms. Olmo. And Dr. Seppi joined the meeting this few weeks, I guess it was last week, where she got feedback on the cell phone policy and how things were going there.
How are things going?
Okay. Yeah, and I think the revision for the policy is on the agenda tonight, so. Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
What are you hearing? Just give us a couple examples.
Well, for the most part, everything in the class and within each classroom during class time is okay. But there's a lot of issues, and Dr. Seppi has expressed her concern and really been clear about the expectation is that we can't be on our phones in the hallways, or during passing times or during our free periods. It's the state law. We have to comply, and so it's been challenging for students and challenging for teachers to be policing that and just making sure everybody's following the rules. So that's
Matthew, before I start my report, do you want to acknowledge something happening at your house that you're missing today?
Oh boy, he's not gonna be happy about that.
Dad's birthday.
By the way, his dad is my pickleball partner,
Oh.
and he's 50 years young today. So Mike Wolstetter, wherever the camera is, happy birthday. But say happy birthday to your dad.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, Matthew, thank you for joining us today, and we appreciate your father for allowing you to spend his birthday with us. So thank you for that.
He's really becoming a board member, like sacrificing a lot of family time.
Yeah.
Wow. Happy birthday to Matthew's dad.
I'm enjoying it. It's all.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so just in terms of the community update, we wanted to just share with you some of the survey feedback we received from parent-teacher conferences. So we put something out just really briefly, just to help us in our thinking as we planned for March. So Adam, did you want to describe this?
Yeah, so the survey window just closed at 3. So thanks to Dr. Schoenbart, he crunched some numbers for us quickly. You can see the response rate at the end there on the left side. We surveyed parents and staff members at the elementary and also the secondary levels. And we were able to analyze, do a quick analysis of that or those data that came in. You can see on the bottom left, there were some Likert scale questions. And so generally, folks felt that communication was clear, it was easy to follow, the scheduling system worked very well, it was easy to navigate, and that the conferences were meaningful and productive. So good feedback there. You can see we were interested in the conference length. The secondary conferences were 7 minutes long, the elementary conferences were 20 minutes long. We did that because we wanted to make sure there were as many slots as we could, so we could generally see as many parents as we needed to, and there were no teachers that filled up completely. So there were slots left, but we can now that we have that data, we can do an analysis of, to what extent can we potentially lengthen them and still be able to meet the, projected needs. So we have a little more data on adjusting the length. And then you see on the second slide, you'll see a little bit more of a summary of kind of glows and grows, some commendations and considerations. So parents generally, they appreciated the virtual option, like you can meet in person or you could meet virtually. They appreciated the level of teacher preparation, the flexibility. I think that was a nod to you could come during the day, and also there were some evening options. They also, several parents mentioned the shift back to teacher-led conferences. We had experimented with student-led conferences in 5th and 6th grade, and we shifted back to the teacher-led conferences. And then there were some considerations for parents about the length of session. Generally, we got a lot of feedback from parents that they would like a little bit longer sessions and a little bit more transition in between. It was a challenge for parents to move from place to place for those that have back-to-back conferences. There are some of these things that are easy to do, like signage, for example, and then other things that are a little more challenging. Several parents mentioned that they had multiple students in the district and they were kind of moving in between schools. And so they suggested, could we consider a more consolidated location? So that could be that could be challenging to do, but it's good feedback for us to consider. And then you see on the right side, the staff really appreciated the opportunity to connect with families. They felt productive. They felt like, good supportive conversations around student performance. Some considerations were commentary around like increased transition times, opportunities for faculty to have breaks. Some faculty did have, several hours of back-to-back conferences. So that was challenging. And then they also asked for some more guidance or templates around like the conference structure, like how should I be spending that time with parents? What's the expectation there? So some good feedback. This is just a preliminary kind of overview of it, but we'll get a group together to really dig in and make some recommendations as to next steps for
Right.
conferences.
And the CCT also did like an additional survey, so we need their data too, so we can figure out what the next steps are.
I will say though, how impressed I was also concerned as a parent, because I have 3 kids and I made all of my appointments and I wasn't sure what was going to be said in 7 minutes. And then if I arrive late, right, to the next one, and then what happens? I'm down to 5 minutes. But I have to say, I was so impressed how much a teacher can share in 7 minutes. But I think that really speaks volumes about how prepared all of the teachers were in welcoming the parents into the classrooms. So I really appreciated that. But no one is, saying, please don't give us more time. But I really think we could benefit from more time. But I will say that from where we are, like being that this was a first go around, like it was pretty impressive how much information was exchanged in 7 minutes.
And so Andrew, did you want to talk about our speaker for the high school for National Inclusive Schools Week recommended by the Community Culture and Belonging team?
Sure. There's a lot of plans going on for all buildings for National Inclusive Schools Week, but at the high school, we've invited Brian Williams. He's the founder of an organization called Think Kindness, and his message is that everyone has the capacity to influence somebody's life for the better. And while he has worked on, a very big scale, he's spoken to over 1.5 million students. He's collected over 300,000 shoes to deliver to people in need. He's produced some documentaries and he's done some international work. His focus is really local and small and practical. And so he's going to come speak to the high school, but he would like to, on the 4th of December, Zoom with our leaders of our student organizations to engage them and get them to buy into a 15-day kindness challenge and help to create that with us. And he does this. One of the things he does is a 15-day kindness challenge to really spark a community of compassion within the school. So we're looking forward to having him.
I'd also like to say in our student government meeting, they went right to National Inclusive Schools Week and they were like, what are we going to do together? That was great. So we're going to stuff that bus and then we're going to come back to the K-12 group and we're going to talk about some things that we can do that's unified across the 6 schools. So I love that. Okay, so I did want to do a brief update on our shared middle school clubs because you'll see on the agenda tonight, we did have to combine the BSU and Alliance for Equity based on attendance. So in trying to figure out how to support both groups of students, Tanuke Culpa is going to take on both identity-based clubs on Tuesday, which we think will work out nicely because we were having some conflicts with Thursday's club attendance. And then I just wanted to show you, what our numbers look like to date. And you can see that our most popular class right now is acting. So we had to add another support staff. And then you may have heard that I've been working with the academic challenge students because we have a club program here, but we have a number of families that want to go beyond that. I think the best way to describe it, it's like you have a soccer program and then kids that want more, they're in like on an AAU team. And for us, the way that a lot of the academic teams work is that they can't just participate independently like an independent athletic program. They have to be connected to us in a way for me to authorize registration.
So you mean there's no like club team?
Well,
like a private?
There's no way for private
club teams to sign up.
Private parent teams to sign up like a private club team can. So I've been working with a pocket of students and their families in Seven Bridges and in Bell. I feel like we've come up with a good system where I can do the necessary paperwork for these 2 groups to participate under pseudonym teams in competitions outside of the academic challenge club, but where we don't have ownership of what they're doing because it's more like a private team, but they have the ability to do so based on some of the releases and paperwork that we've been able to fill out from. So this has been like, we've been dealing with some of this at the high school level for debate, but now I'm starting to see it happening at the middle school level based on what our kids would like to do with their parents, like competing in like in other states, in other countries. And so it's a great problem to have, but I just wanted to provide an update, like I continue to work through these requests that our families have, trying to get to yes, but also, you know, maintaining like the integrity of the district and what we are chaperoning and are supporting versus what we're verifying in terms of like students are enrolled here, and we acknowledge that students are going with parents to competitions, but we're not chaperoning them, and we're not they're not participating on behalf of our school district. So been working on that for about 3 weeks now with Andrew Cresilius. So I think we're in a good place, and I don't think this will be the last group of students that want to compete competitively academically, but at least I feel like we have a structure now to be able to support our students in the way that they would like us to.
And I really appreciate that because I think that some of the families have been struggling for a number of years and trying to figure this out with the district. And I'm just glad that, you know, going forward, that we have a clear process and a structure and a way for our students to participate who deserve to participate and who want to and have worked really, really hard to be part of these competitions that are very prestigious. And so it would be, you know, again, the same as if you were, you know, competing in sections and then in states and then competing in nationals and then maybe even going to the Olympics, right? So I really appreciate the district and the families coming together to try to figure out a way that is going to really just serve our students better in a way that is safe and makes sense for the district, but also for our families. So thank you for that.
Kelly. Okay, and so we had a specialized training that I'd like Yasmin to share with the board this past week.
Sure. So on Friday, we brought together the school psychologists and school social workers to have a specialized training and to look at our suicide risk assessment that's currently in place. And so we were very fortunate to have Mr. Adam Lesser, who has trained over 100,000 individuals on the Columbia Suicide Severity Rating Scale. And he is the Deputy Director for Implementation, and he is an Assistant Professor of Clinical Psychiatric Social Work in the Division of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry at Columbia University. And so we were very lucky to have him in person train our staff on this tool, which is evidence and research based. It is a tool that supports a suicide risk screening through a series of simple, plain language questions that our clinical team can use, and it gauges and identifies whether someone is at risk for suicide and determines the severity and immediacy of that risk, and it gauges the level of support. And so he was able to present to our team in order to be able to equip them to identify students at risk early on. It is a tool, since it's research-based and has been used across many settings, including educational research-based settings, as well as hospitals and many avenues for police and firefighters. It is something that is in alignment and recommended by New York State Education Department for their suicide prevention guidelines, and it can enhance our capacity to respond effectively to students' needs. And so our next level of implementation is to really integrate it into our school-wide suicide prevention protocols, to then monitor its effectiveness of use of assessment and to make sure that we're providing ongoing supports to our clinical staff while also providing the as-needed refreshers. So this is something that really supports the totality of our needs for students as, you know, their issues come to light.
Thank you.
No problem.
And then, oh, sorry.
No, I just want to say thank you. I think suicide is something that people may feel sort of hesitant to talk about or feel quiet about, whether if they notice something in somebody else or if they're going through it themselves. But I think the one thing I learned is that talking about it doesn't increase the percentage of a person committing suicide. So in fact, it kind of opens up the doorway to kind of say, come share your burden with me. And I want to keep sending that message to every single person in this community, whether you're an adult or a student, that you are never alone and that there are people that ready and willing to help, and organizations and resources are available to everyone. So thank you for that.
Which staff got the training?
So our school psychologists at all of our buildings and our social workers.
Great, thank you so much.
No problem.
Then,
Sure. So Dr. Evelyn Berger in our elementary school psychology class at Roaring Brook, she put together an Instagrant for the Superflex SEL tools. And basically it's a bundle of curriculum guides and teaching guides with supplementary materials that we can easily implement across our 3 elementary schools with our school psychologists with very little support or, training needed to assist our children in social thinking skills, how they observe, interpreting clues, how they take others' perspectives, and problem solving in social scenarios. So this is really going to enhance our practices by giving the school psychologists at the elementary level more tools to help our students achieve their goals.
then Adam, did you talk about?
Yeah, so you also see 5.9 on the agenda is the approval or the recommendation to approve the CSF Instagrant for about just over $2,400 for some cardboard cutting tools. Anybody that's tried to recycle cardboard or cut cardboard knows it can be tricky and dangerous. And so these tools make it really accessible for students. We use cardboard in our STEAM center often to prototype and build models and things like that. So this makes it, safe and easy for students to cut cardboard. And you can see it was submitted by Mr. Rotstein and Mr. Whitney at the Bell STEAM Center. So you'll see that there on 5.9.
Chomp sauce.
Chomp sauce.
And that is the end of the superintendent's update. We had a lot of nice activities that are coming up. We have our drama production here at the middle school. We have a few community events. We have our OLAS event next Friday. And so I'm hoping that everyone has a nice Thanksgiving, and we will see everyone back in December. And that is the end of the superintendent's report.
Thank you. Okay, moving right along to our committee reports. I believe we had several committee meetings. Does anybody want to start? Many of us were at many meetings, so anyone can start.
I'll talk a little bit about the CSF board meeting.
Okay.
So they were very excited because they've seen kind of an increase in Instagrants coming through, and one of the things they attribute to that is last month they supported the BioBus coming to Greeley, and it was a wonderful experience.
Well, the district, they visited the
BioBus, sorry.
To see if they wanted to
Yes.
explore having the BioBus.
Having it, okay,
on campus,
thank
yeah.
you. And we were lucky, one of the board members' students, sons hopped on, who was a student who got to go to the BioBus, and he said he was like very engaged the whole time, and it was nice for them to kind of see in action with young scientists what they're learning about in the classroom. and that one of the high school teachers was able to see the microscopes that they were hoping to do a larger grant for, and seeing them in action really made them want to do, or write that grant. They also talked about a lot of upcoming events they have. They have the Dad's Day this Sunday, which I think a couple of our board members are attending. They are doing an event at Rocks, which is a jewelry store at Chappaqua Crossing, similar to the one they did at Mikolay, and that is December 10th. They have the Wizards game coming up, which I'm sure most of us will be there.
Are you playing?
I'm playing.
Great.
Any chance to embarrass my children is great by me. And then, save the date for their spring event on April 30th. And, you can check out their website or social media for more information on the events. That's it.
I can jump in and talk about Sports Boosters. We had a Zoom meeting this time on November 4th, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention the Booster Bash that is coming up. It is the second annual. I think last year they took the year off, but it's back, and it's going to be the second annual. It is November 22nd at 7 o'clock at Captain Lawrence in Mount Kisco. And there's going to be music and raffle, and it's just a great way to come out and support our athletics programs. And this season, the fall season's wrapping up. We heard earlier tonight about all of our great winners. Winter registration is open, and the Meet the Coaches night is coming up for the winter program. And we're just really excited about the year and all the sports and across the district, and hoping everyone gets involved, try something new. You can play sports no matter what level or thing that you want to do. We have so many different teams that there's something for everyone. And I think that's all as far as that update. That's it.
Okay, so then I guess we're doing the liaison report. So within our committee report, so I will share out on my Horace Greeley Scholarship Fund. It was happening on the same day as the Sports Boosters. So Ms. Dorfman went to the Sports Boosters, and then I attended the Scholarship Fund meeting. And one thing I want to say again that I really love about the Scholarship Fund is that it's an organization that started really from actually students. It came from senior students who really wanted to help and figure out a way that they can help other students pay for college. And it kind of came from that. And each month when they meet, they read a letter of the month from a scholar, a recipient of the scholarship. And they're not asked to write this letter, but people will send it in and just say thank you. And it just really brings the focus back to what the mission of this organization is, and what and how much the community is part of educating all of our students, even after they leave Greeley. So it's incredible that way. And I mentioned before the spelling bee that just happened. There were, I believe, 54 teams that were signed up, which is amazing. And I think, if not all, most, maybe 51 or 52 were all then sponsored through different community members and organizations, which is great. And we had even our own Dr. Ackerman and Miss Elsner there as the queen bees, as they do every single year in their bee costumes. But I don't know, you did not come in tie with the boosters team, right? Okay.
Well, we enjoyed ourselves immensely.
And so they emphasized that November is Giving Month, and there's Giving Tuesday, and just in the spirit of giving, please think about the Scholarship Fund and how you can help, again, support our students even as they leave Greeley. The next event that they have is they have the Winter Ball, which is a lot of families' favorite, those with little children. It's basically a dance party for little children, and
Sort of a
they're
rave. There's rave components to it.
and their adult that they wish to bring.
Will you be attending?
I haven't missed one yet.
It's Friday, January 23rd, and the snow date is Sunday, January 25th. So we know that there have been people who've been shut out because tickets have been sold out, and no amount of crying will get you in because there's a limit as to how many we could hold in the gym. So please, please get your tickets early. And then after that, they have their annual spring gala, which is coming up March 26th. And the venue has been changed this year. It's no longer at the Whippoorwill. It will be at BIA this year. So it's a little change of scenery. Okay, so anybody want to report out on facilities committee or policy?
Sure, I'll
Anybody?
give an update for facilities. It was the first facilities committee meeting of the year and began with a update on all of the progress made over the last year by our director of facilities, Mario. And then really the next steps that the group decided on is our next steps will be reviewing our building conditions survey and looking at how we can prioritize necessary either repairs or improvements to the district.
Great. Anybody want to add? Mr. Block or anyone else that went to the facilities committee meeting? I'm trying to do a little less talking and giving you all a chance to kind of share out, please.
I wasn't there. So.
I'll add a couple things that we talked about. We had talked about our continuing the new AED installation and that the facility department was getting training for all the AEDs. And we just talked about how Mario, the head of facilities, meets with the principals every month of all the buildings and gets updated on any issues in the buildings and was constantly monitoring all of our facilities and keeping track of what needs to be done. I believe our outdoor Wi-Fi is getting improved. Did I get that right? Which is a big plus. There was lots of things that they had worked on that we had gotten taken care of over the summer, playground repairs, and there was a foam project, and the Grafflin Gate got dealt with. So there's a lot of things that are ongoing projects that are being handled.
I think too, probably one of the biggest areas for the facilities committee to focus on is that we have about $1 million in a reserve line. So we're going to look at the building condition survey and determine if we're going to complete some of those projects, and to do that we would have to put that in front of voters in a different way than the regular budget. So that's some of the work that we're going to be doing this year.
And I think in addition to all of that, I think another job of the facilities committee, which you can probably see in the committee charge and responsibilities going forward, is to have sort of long-term plans in terms of capital projects, because all of our projects are kind of coming to an end. So we need to think about what are we going to focus on in the next 5 years. Policy, do we want to talk about that when we get to the policies? Okay, so we'll talk about that then.
Sure.
And then what else did we?
You mentioned the CCT meeting already.
I had my, November 7th, I had my CPTA Executive Cabinet meeting with Dr. Ackerman, and Mr. Cowell-Block was there. And basically we get together with the Executive Cabinet of the PTA to, again, sit around the table, literal table, very long, with all of the chairs and vice chairs of every building to kind of talk about what are we thinking about, what do we want to see happen, what are some of the challenges we're having as a district, what are we hearing from our community, our parents, and we're there to just really listen and help figure out ways that we can, again, better serve our students all across our 6 buildings. We talked about some of the feedback from parent-teacher conferences that day, and I know Mr. Cowell-Block, you shared at the beginning of the meeting, which I missed part of that because I walked in like 3 minutes late. Do you want to go over what it was about
Sure.
the repeater?
Yeah, so we had talked about the Wi-Fi access in public spaces that the PTA uses for payment processing and for a variety of events that we have. So we received feedback on that so that we could take that back to our technology team to improve those services.
Okay. And then there are lots of book fairs coming up. And then am I missing anything? Am I missing? I'm like looking at the 3 PTA members in the audience.
Theater.
Feel free to shout them out.
The Greeley Theater.
And the Roaring Brook.
The Greeley Theater Pasta Dinner.
On Friday, there's a pasta dinner.
That's coming up.
It's a
Is
freshman
that, I'm
fundraiser.
looking at the,
Freshman fundraiser before the drama takes place at, is it at,
what time is it?
what time does it start? The pasta dinner starts at 5 o'clock on Friday and the show is at 7. So if you're hungry and you're watching the show, it's a great time to come early and have something delicious to eat before you.
And this is for the Greeley class of 2029, okay, yes. So Greeley class of 2029 fundraiser, pasta dinner, come at 5 o'clock to eat and then go to the show at 7 p.m. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Okay,
Eat 2 hours
yes.
worth of pasta.
Who's making the pasta?
The parents do.
Oh, the ninth grade parents.
It's usually
Okay.
delicious.
Oh, Mrs. Dorfman? Okay, okay. So pasta dinner. When was this again? What day?
Friday.
This Friday, okay. All right. Any other committee meetings that I'm missing? Okay, let's move on. Okay, public comment period. We welcome public comments, and in respect for each other's time, we ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes. Board members may be contacted via email or phone. After the public comment period has been completed, board members may have a discussion amongst themselves regarding comments presented. Any public comment? Nobody. Okay. Item 3, approvals and ratifications. We have, may I have a motion for 3.1? We are accepting the minutes of the October 29th board meeting.
I'll move.
May I have a second?
Second.
Questions, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
We have 3.2. We are doing a second reading of policy 9070, which is the recording workplace conversations. So it's a second reading and adoption.
I'll move.
Can I have a motion to move 3.2 on policy 9070?
I'll move.
I'll
May I have a
second.
Any comments, discussion? Dr. Ackerman, would you like to?
Just, we added some clarifying language. This is for staff, it's not for parents. It just requires that if staff would like to tape a meeting with other staff members present, they need to have the permission of everyone there. So if we were to do a professional development that we were taping on Zoom, everyone in the Zoom room would need to agree that that would be taped. And then it just reaffirms that administrative meetings with supervisors people are not permitted to tape those, just as clarifying information for our staff.
Okay, great, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, item 3.3, policy 5031. It is the internet-enabled device policy. We talked about this a little bit. It is the first reading of all of the changes that we're going to make. So, again, would you like to talk about 3.1, Dr. Ackerman?
Sure, so
3.3?
We are working really hard to retain the culture and the responsibility that we allow our students to have, which really makes Greeley the school that it is. But we're faced with complying with a law that, you know, is just a reality of the situation that all public schools are facing based on decisions that are outside of our control. And so when we originally crafted the policy, we did it so in the most generous way possible. And so now that we are a few months into school, we're feeling like we may need to make some adjustments, because while things are working perfectly in the classroom, we do have students, many students, taking some liberties in the hallway and in the
Cafeteria.
non-supervised spaces that are, I mean, non-instructional spaces, the cafeteria and
Library.
in the library, that are too frequent and are not in the spirit of the law. And so when that happens, you have to regroup, and part of the requirements within the law itself is that if we're going to make any adjustments to the policy, we have to get feedback. So one of the things that we talked about as a group was that we needed a consistent message when students are in the hallway or in the non-instructional spaces where there's a lot more freedom, to signal to students that their behavior is not appropriate. And so in some districts, what they've done is they've bought pouches that lock to remove that, the temptation from students in those spaces. We don't feel like that works for us based on how we're structured here. So what we are suggesting is that we move to an option where we have students have unlockable pouches that they would place their phones in when they're in the hallways, when they're in the cafeteria, when they're in the library, when they're not in the instructional spaces. And then that's the expectation, so it's very clear on when students can have their phones out, which would be in classrooms with their teacher's permission, versus when they can't have them out in the spaces, which would be everywhere else on campus during the school day. So, and we would buy them. And so the change that we are asking for feedback on, that will send out to the high school parents, the high school staff, and the high school students, is that we are looking to adjust under the high school section of the policy that personal devices not authorized under this policy for instructional purposes will remain in classroom pouches at the discretion of the faculty, which means in the classroom kids can actually use their phones if the faculty say it's okay. Or they'll be in district issued pouches during the school day while on school district property. And we would remove the clause that says the phones could be in backpacks, coats, pockets, etc. That the devices must be out of sight during the school day while on school district property, because our expectation would be they would be in the school district issued bags, which are not lockable.
Okay, so then this takes away then the whole process of, I know some of the teachers were using the cell phone hotels, where you were putting them in those slots, or the shelving units, right? So we're not doing that anymore
They
then?
can still do that if they'd like to in the classroom.
As long, so then as you're leaving, then you're putting it in the pouch? Is that what will be happening?
And
Okay.
so then the other piece that we changed is that if kids need to check their phones for their schedule, they have to do that before they leave the classroom.
Yes,
With
the
permission of
schedule
teacher.
navigation.
Because that's where I think we need to tighten up.
Right. And I just want everybody to know, and I know while I actually met with Matthew this past week, and for the first time, and we just kind of talked about everything that's been going on and how it's been going for him. And you know, one of the things that we talked about was, I want the students to understand that it's frustrating, and we understand, and all the teachers are so actually proud of all of the students and the way they manage themselves inside the classroom. I think it's just really, like Dr. Ackerman said, when they are transitioning in between classes, and then when they are in non-instructional spaces, and it feels very like, well, I'm not understanding why I can't look at my phone when I'm not in class, I'm not being rude or disrespectful. I'm trying to do some of the work on my phone, looking stuff up, and all of those reasons are great, except this is not our law, this is not CCSD's law, this is the state's mandated law, and so we have to comply, and that's all we can do. And we were trying really hard, and I thought we were very generous and gracious to say that you can have it out for schedule navigation, but unfortunately, it's just so hard. Once you have it in your hand and you're like, oh, let me just take a peek at how my fantasy football team is doing, and then you're down a rabbit hole. And so it gets distracting. And so we want to just remind everybody that I think all of the faculty, the administration, the board, our student board member, we all are working really hard to try to figure out a way that seems sensible but also like follow the law. But it is challenging. It's just challenging, but we ask that for all of your cooperation and partnership in this.
So we'll get some feedback. We do have a correction opportunity with a locking pouch if we have to continue to, interact with a student who's not complying with the policy, because we don't want to be confiscating phones. That is not a space we want to be in at all. But I think the biggest thing is, we want our students and our staff to have a positive relationship. We don't want staff feeling like they have to correct students when they're walking in the cafeteria, walking in the library, walking in the halls, because then people will avoid those spaces because they don't want to be doing that. Like, no one wants to work in that environment, and students don't want to learn in that environment. So we have to consider an intervention to help move back to the environment we had before this cell phone policy existed. And so this is our first draft at trying to do that in a way that we think makes sense based on what we've learned from the first few months of school. So the policy committee will meet and review all that feedback. We'll probably have something out, if not tomorrow, on Friday to the high school only, because this policy adjustment would only affect the high school.
And really try, please give us your feedback and your thoughts, and not just like, oh, this is terrible. I mean, you can say that, of course, but say it's terrible, and maybe if you have a good idea, please also present that to us as well, because I think we need your help. I mean, it's really hard. Okay, so we don't do anything for that. And then we'll move on to item number 4, recommended action, personnel.
I recommend 4.1 instructional as presented.
I will move 4.1 as presented.
I'll second.
Any discussion, questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
I recommend 4.2 non-instructional as presented.
I will move 4.2 non-instructional as presented.
I'll second.
Any comments, discussion, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
5, recommended action. Use of the consent agenda permits the Board of Education to make more effective use of its time by adopting a single motion to cover those relatively routine matters which are included. Any member of the board who wishes to discuss individually a particular piece of business on the consent agenda may so indicate, and that item will be considered and voted on separately, thus preserving the right of all board members to be heard on any issue. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following consent agenda submitted by the Superintendent of Schools. Any board member wish to take anything off the consent agenda to be voted on separately? No? So I'm going to move 5.1 through 5.13 altogether. And these include CSC summaries, some textbooks, some materials we no longer need that we need to get rid of. We have some purchase orders. We have some agreements with, we have an agreement with Brewster Ice Arena for the ice hockey team. We have some of the Instagrants, like Chomp Sauce. What else? I just wanted to say that. We have a CCSD RFP award. For audio-video technologies, we also have a bid award for generator maintenance service and routine matters like that. So I moved 5.1 through 5.13. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion or questions?
I have a couple
Yes,
quick ones.
yeah.
My first one is about 5.4 and 5.11. 5.4 is tech support, and 5.11 is human tech support. And I'm gonna, can we get a little more clarity around those?
Yeah, I can, yeah. So 5.4 is the addition of a technician with our tech services company, Acture, to provide AV and technology support for our athletics games, our productions that we have, our concerts in our schools, so things that the school is doing that we have a large display at, that we have a sound system at, that we have, so that we could provide seamless integration into all of the events that we have in the school. 5.11 is an audio-video contract for us to be able to rent equipment as needed, right? So we put an RFP out for various different technologies so that, like opening day, for instance, we rent some sound systems. Graduation is another place. So that is, for us, that was an expired rental agreement. That was part of it. Then there were other equipment that we couldn't get on the first one, so we have that second on
Josh, you're actually talking about 5.13.
Oh, 5.13.
5.11 is the staff to use the rental equipment for like graduation.
I'm going
and
back.
for-
Yeah, I'm going backwards, right. So 5.13 is the rental of the equipment. 5.11 is to use that equipment, so the people who run that equipment.
But it's a different person than the extra
The person that will be here more regularly. Those are for irregular things that are very, very large events for us. So we might use them 2 or 3 times a year.
And it's too much for the extra person to do
Yes,
those
because
things.
usually we have 3 or 4 people running those events for us.
Got it. And then, thank you for that.
Yeah.
And then one more question about 5.7. That's the hockey team. And this is the fee to rent the rink. But we share that team with other schools, correct? So do
Yes,
we also
Wednesday.
share the cost of the rink rental?
Yes.
Yes, we receive, we share the cost and bill out for all of the services that we pay to the rink from the districts that we participate with.
And the reason we're the host.
Cool.
So we receive money from districts, but we put the money out.
Got it.
Because we're the anchor school.
So this is the total cost, and then we'll bill the other districts.
That is correct, yes.
Great. Thank you so much.
Okay.
I have
moving-
a further question on 5.4 for Josh. Is that a new service that we're contracting, or is that something we've done in the past?
Yeah, it is a new service that we are contracting with that is based upon a need that we have seen within the district at lots of our evening events, lots of our weekend events, where we don't currently have coverage of a technician. So there might be a scoreboard, for instance, that requires someone's support to make sure that it's working, make sure it's up and running for a weekend basketball game. These are things that are becoming more and more needed for us, that people are calling our technicians on the weekend, they're not available, or a lot of it is coming from us paying overtime currently to our actual employees, so we want to shift those funds to an actual person.
Understood. Thank you. And then, is this additional expense, was this included in our 25 to 26 budget? Or if not, do you still anticipate we'll be able to come in within budget?
Yes, so this is going to be a shift of funds within the
Got it.
25-26 budget, such as overtime for actual support, or for additional supports that we don't see that we need over the course of the year.
So still within the budget,
Yes,
just shifting
still
to
within
a
the budget.
dedicated
Yep.
person? Thank you.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item 6, be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby acknowledges receipt of the following contracts approved by the superintendent per Board Policy 6085, purchasing and bidding. We have 6.1, an agreement with top youth speakers. An agreement, 6.2, an agreement with Sawmill Club for tennis court usage. And 6.3, facilities usage with the EF schools for pool usage. And this is all for 2025-26 school year. I will move item 6.1 through 6.3. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, nothing under facilities, financials. 8.1, be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby acknowledges receipt of the Claims Auditor Report for September 2025. May I have a motion for 8.1?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any comments? Thoughts? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Notice of future meetings. Wednesday, December 10th, 2025, 7 p.m. We will have the high school presentation right here, same place. And then Wednesday, January 14th, 2026, at 7 p.m., we will have the budget preview already. Wow. Okay, so everyone, if I don't see you in the community, have a wonderful Thanksgiving and see you back in December. We will adjourn this meeting at 9:28 p.m. May I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll move.
I'll
May I have a second? All in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned.